Hi, good morning. Today we're going to be talking about topic 15, and I'm going to be introducing some of the vocabulary terms that you're going to learn about during this chapter. The first thing that I want to talk about is data. Data is just information that you collect, and we're going to be using this data to make different types of graphs. So we'll learn about a bar graph, a line plot, and a picture graph. We'll also use tally marks in order to make a tally chart. I want to first start with the bar graph. So I made a bar graph picture representation here. So this is a bar graph, and I want to talk about the bar graph. So notice that the bar graph, I told you that it's called bar graph. You can look at these. These are the bars on the graph. The graph just means it tells you the information. So this isn't a way that you can collect information. The title here at the top is favorite ice cream flavor. So labels and titles are super important when it comes to graphs. If you didn't put any information for a title, nobody would know what you were talking about. The other label I want you to notice is this label here on the side. These are the flavors. And then this is how many people, and I probably could have even written on the bottom here, how many people liked that particular flavor. On the bar graph, I want you to notice, like, for example, mint. It goes this far, and if I stop, like at this stop line right here, and I go and follow it down, that means that 3 people liked the flavor mint. If I was looking at vanilla all the way down here, you can tell that this is a much larger bar than the mint. Vanilla has a total, if I follow it down, of 7. Now, sometimes you just might want to find like a flat edge of something, and you can follow it down, and you can see exactly. Sometimes it might help you to find some kind of flat edge to follow it down, because it's important to make sure you have accurate data and that you're looking at that information and following and reading it correctly. So this is a bar graph. Notice the bars. It has the label and the title on the side. It also has the numbers represented at the bottom. The next thing we'll talk about is a picture graph. A picture graph, you might notice that it has the word picture in it. So this type of data collection uses pictures. There's always going to be a key or a legend at the bottom. So I just have a label that says key or legend at the bottom, and it tells you what each of the symbols means. Sometimes each symbol will represent one of something. Sometimes each symbol might represent 5, 10, or 100, even greater than that, depending on the data that you're collecting. So for this, each star just represents one student. So if you count how many stars, you can find out how many students like a particular favorite color. So this one again has the title. It also has the labels on the side, and it indicates how many students like whichever color. So blue has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. Each star is one student, so there are 5 students that like the color blue. So this does use symbols or pictures. You might even see some picture graphs that only have half of a symbol, and that would just mean, like, instead of being one student, it just might mean a half of a student, which wouldn't really apply for this, but other things you might see that pop up. So look for that as you're looking at your information. Sometimes each symbol means 1, sometimes each symbol means 5, 10. It just depends on the data that was collected. So this is, again, the picture graph. So the picture graph has different pictures. The bar graph is the one that has these long bars. Sometimes you might see the bars go this direction as well. And that's okay. It just depends on whoever created that graph and how they wanted it to be. But the title would always go at the top. So this is the picture graph of favorite colors. The next graph that I want to introduce you to is called a line plot. Now, I don't remember learning about line plots for a really long time. So this is new for 2nd grade to be learning about line plots. But it's pretty fun. So this line plot is the length of a foot. So it's not just a measurement of a foot, it's actually people's feet. So the length of the foot, imagine that your classmates, we measured everybody's foot, and we made a line plot of that information. This is how many inches that each person's foot ended up being. Nobody has super huge feet. Most of the people, you can notice, the most is with the 9 inches. So each of these dots on here represents one person. So if I was trying to figure out how many people did we collect data from, I could collect and count each of these dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there are 13 people that were represented on this data collection because I counted that there are 13 dots. Now, if I asked you which was the greatest, what did most people have as far as the number of inches for their foot, you would just say whichever one has the most dots, which is the 9 inches. So the least would just be the 11 inches, and then there are a couple that are exactly the same. So the 7 inches and the 10 inches, those have the same representation. So that means that a total of 4 people fell into the category of that. And this is the line plot. Notice that there is an open number line here. It doesn't start just at the number 0, and it doesn't have an end spot, so it could continue outward. Sometimes when you're looking at a line plot, sometimes one category doesn't have anything represented. You can't just skip numbers. So like let's say that there weren't any people that had 8-inch measurements of their foot. You couldn't just say 7, 9, 10. You have to actually put the number 8 there and just not put any dots. Sometimes you might notice that a line plot has, instead of dots, it might have an X on there. I just chose to do circles and dots for this representation. The next chart we're going to look at, so that one was the line plot. This one is the tally chart. For your secret code, I want you to write down the house that has the very most points from this tally chart. So when you're sending me in your secret code for watching this video, I want you to write whichever house had the most house points. Okay, so this is the tally chart. This is another way that we can show data or information. This chart does have the label. It has the label at the top of the title for the house points, and then these side labels as well that tell the different houses that are represented. With the tally chart, we're using tally marks. So these lines right here are tally marks. Kind of when I look at tally marks, I notice that every time that you have 5 of them, that it's bundled with a line across. That's really easy when you're counting the information because you can count by 5. So 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 points for or more. It is easy to see because these are kind of lined up which one has the greatest amount. So if I'm looking at Estina, I notice that Estina's tally chart goes out, tally marks go out much farther than that of Yoto. So Estina has 5, 10, 15, plus the 4 is 19. So Estina has the 19 house points. And then Yoto has 5, 10, 15, 16, 17. So that's just a little bit less than Estina, but we do know that Estina were the house leaders for this week. So make sure that you do that secret code for me. So this is just the tally chart. It's using tally marks. I wouldn't say that these are pictures. They're called tally marks. And the cool thing about tally marks, I want you to remember, and this is really important because even some adults I've met don't think about tally marks and do them properly. Every time you have 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th one always goes across. Now I don't care if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go the opposite direction. I just need to see that you are making that line across, because if you were to write, let's say I wrote out 10 tally marks and I went like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you look from where you're at and see that that's 10? Well, you know it's 10 because I told you. But it's much easier if you look at these. These are 2 bundles of 5, which you know are 10. So these are the different vocabulary words for topic 15. We've talked about the tally chart. We've talked about this line plot. Remember, it has the line and then these little dots. Sometimes they're X's. We have this picture graph with the pictures. Remember, it has symbols at the bottom that tell you or a key at the bottom that tell you what each symbol represents. That's super important when you're making a picture graph. And then we also talked about this bar graph. It can go this direction or it could go this way. It has different bars. It also has numbers on the bottom. Those are the topic 15 vocabulary words that I expect you to know. Don't forget that secret code.